Good evening and welcome to the virtual college exploration for all North and South Carolina students, sponsored by the Carolinas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers and StriveScan. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A feature on your screen to type questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are turned off so the panelists cannot see or hear you. Be sure to sign up for additional sessions at CACRAO.org, as well to check out the list of sessions that have already happened in case you missed any of those. This session will be recorded and will be available within the same website, CACRAO.org. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenters.
Perfect. Thanks, Madeline. We're going to start sharing our screen here in just a minute, but welcome everybody. We're so excited to have you this evening. I appreciate you taking time out of your Thursday evening to learn a little bit about Queens. My name is Jasmine. I work as a Senior Assistant Director of Admissions at Queens University of Charlotte. Specifically, I work with students who are coming to Queens from Mecklenburg County and Stanley County, North Carolina, so right in the Charlotte area. We have counselors in our office that cover all different territories within the Carolinas and obviously outside of the Carolinas, but for you all, the Carolinas, and we're excited to chat with you today. We have Allie Glover, who is an admissions counselor at Queens, who will be doing a majority of the sharing of information with you about Queens, and we also have Nikkis Story, who is a current Queens student, who's going to share a little bit about her experience. So I'm excited for you all to hear from those two folks. And just a couple of quick things to keep in mind. I know that we may have students, families, college counselors on this visit or on this session, and we're excited to have all of you. Please feel free to utilize the question and answer box at the bottom of your screen. I will be keeping an eye on that throughout the entire session. If we don't answer your question right away, we'll wait till we have plenty of time for questions in the middle and at the end of the session. So we will get to your questions as we go, but please feel free. Nobody can see your questions except for us, so don't feel like you should be at all hesitant to go ahead and submit those, and you can submit them at any time. Don't feel like you have to wait to submit those questions. We're excited again to have you here with us this evening, and I will turn it over to Allie.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here. My name is Allie Glover. I'm an undergraduate admission counselor here at Queens. I work with all of our undergraduate students from Western North Carolina, so basically anything that is west of Charlotte and Tennessee, and also everyone from South Carolina as well. I've been working at Queens for about 1 year now. Prior to coming to Queens, I actually worked as a college advisor at a high school. So I understand that y'all are going through a lot now. So the main thing that we're going to try to do here is trying to give you all the best information that we can, but also wanting to make sure that we are answering any and all questions So definitely make sure to ask any questions that you have in the chat feature. So starting off with Queens, something that's really important is where we are. It's so important that we put it right. So important that we put it right here in our name. So we are located in Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte is the 15th largest city in the United States. So you are able to have everything that a large city has. So you are able to use everything that a large city has to offer, but you're still able to have that small, intimate school. Right, so our total student body is roughly 2,500. That is including all of our graduate students. If you're looking only at our undergraduate students, so our students who are coming in from high school, as well as our transfers, that is going to be fewer. Than 2,000. So you're able to have an average class size of 17. So you're really able to get to know everyone who you are in class with, and you're able to get to know all of your professors also. So we have students who are from 35 states as well as 25 different countries. So all types of students to interact with. So all of our students are spread out over 42 majors. We also have 62 minors, and those are a broad range. So whether that's the arts, so we have a studio art program, a music therapy program, art leadership and administration. So all types of range there. If you're interested in the sciences, we have biology, chemistry, sustainability science. We started a new engineering and physics program, so we're really excited. Or if you're interested in any of our humanities, there are many other opportunities there. So whether that's psychology, English, or political science. One of our most popular programs would be all of our business school. So Charlotte is the second best city for business. So many opportunities there, whether it's entrepreneurship or whether that's international there. So there are programs in communication, healthcare. So if you're interested in nursing, or we also have many pre-professional programs, whether that's pre-dental or pre-vet. Queens has you covered. And then lastly, we have some education programs. So many things for students to choose from. But we also offer many experiences that are outside of the classrooms, and a large one of those being our study abroad. So the cost of a trip to, the cost of an international trip is built into the cost of Queens. So that is not something extra that you have to pay for. And so many of our students love to take advantage. So over 80% of our students will go to some other country. So whether you're going for, so we have students who will go someplace for 2 weeks, or maybe they'll go for a full year. There's a wide range of opportunities. So we have students who have been to South Africa, who've been to Brazil, who have been to Yap. Yap's a country that I didn't even know was on the map. But so we have trips that happen over the summer. There are language immersion programs for our students who are interested in Spanish, or if they're interested in French also. And we also have those international internships. So that's kind of an overview of learning in the classroom and also learning outside of the classroom. But something that's important to us is trying to make sure that you're able to apply everything that you've learned to the real world. So that's where our Van de Veer Center for Career Development will come into play. So 100% of our students are going to complete some kind of an internship while they're at Queens. And something that helps with that is the fact that Charlotte is the 4th fastest growing job market in the United States. So many things right in our backyard. We found that this works really well. 97% of our graduates currently have a job, or they are in graduate school. And a number that I think is really important is that 83% of them are doing something that has to do with what they really want to do. So we are trying to make sure that all of our students are able to follow whatever their passion is. So some of those examples here, we have students who are working at Novant Health, working at Atrium Health, working on Capitol Hill, working with ESPN, working with the Carolina Panthers or Wells Fargo. So lots of students in many fields. And something that's important to note here is we are not going to make you just go out and find this all by yourself. you are going to have a whole team that is there to help you. So every student has an academic advisor to help them select their major, as well as help them select their courses. You'll have a career advisor to help you with your internship. And then you are also going to have the entire staff of Queens that is in your corner. So those are some of the opportunities that our students have, but it's also important to talk about our campus life, because whatever college you go to, I think it's important to remember to have some fun. Sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on my time here. Because everyone will eat there, sleep there, and have friends there for a long time. So making sure that it has things that you enjoy. So that's really easy to do at Queens. We have over 70 clubs and organizations. So whether that's sports, Queens is a D2 school. We have 24 D2 teams. We have 16 team national championships. So something that we're really proud of there. But there are some fun sports also. If you're interested in club or in our intramural sports, if you're interested in community engagement, there are a lot of community service opportunities here. There is spiritual life. So if you're interested in that, there are organizations for every faith, and there's Greek life as well. So I guess that this is a good place for me to turn it over to our current Queen student, as well as to Jasmine, because I'm sure that y'all would rather hear about campus life from her. So I'm going to invite Nikki to come on. Okay, great.
Perfect. Thanks, Allie. I just wanted to mention really quickly, there was a question in the Q&A box, so thanks for utilizing that, about merit scholarships and that sort of thing. We are absolutely going to talk a little bit about the application and admissions process and scholarship opportunities after we hear a little bit from Nikki. So we will get to that question. I think that's Edmari, if I'm saying that right. We will get to your question here in a bit. But let me allow Nikki to introduce herself. There are some things on the screen here about you, Nikki, but tell us a little bit about you, how you found Queens, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so hi everybody, my name is Nikkis Story. I'll try and not repeat everything that's on the slide. I am a senior this year. I'm majoring in elementary education, and I'm from Indian Trail, so it's just south of Charlotte. So I actually didn't know about Queens living in Charlotte. I actually found it from some of my teachers at school. They were like, hey, I think you'd fit in well at a small school. Why don't you go look at it? And I was like, Queens, like, what is that? So I went, absolutely fell in love with the school. It is so beautiful, especially in the fall right now. But the main reason that I came, when I was in high school, I was that kid, probably like some of you, that really had no idea what I wanted in a college. I applied to so many different schools, big, small, medium, private, public, kind of a little bit of everything. But the one thing that I knew I wanted to do was I knew I wanted to major in elementary education, and I love to travel. And so when I found out that Queens had an amazing study abroad program, I immediately kind of looked into that. And besides going on my JBIP, through Queens being so small and the relationships that I built, I was able to not only go on a JBIP abroad, but I've been able to travel to 2 different cities, one on the West Coast. So I just recently went to San Francisco. And then I've also been to Atlanta, all through Queens. So I wrote my own proposals to go related to my major, why I wanted to go, and I was able to go. And so I put my passion in traveling with also spending time in the classroom and being an elementary education major. It's kind of unheard of to be able to go so many places while also trying to do everything in the classroom. And so when I found out about all this, I was like, this is the perfect place for me. But besides all that, I'm also involved in many different things on campus, especially throughout my 4 years here. So I won't go into detail, but if you have questions about anything, please feel free to ask, and I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, thanks, Nikki. So students and if there are parents, family, counselors on the visit here today, we encourage you to use that chat feature, that question and answer feature. Nikki is here. This is your opportunity to ask questions about what it's really like to be not only a student at Queens, but a college student in general. I know that you have questions that you're curious about, so please feel free to use that question and answer feature there. So Nikki, you talked a little bit, and you have it on the screen here, JBIP, which is the John Belk International Program at Queens. That is our program where we, as Ali mentioned, have funds allocated for students to travel abroad during their time at Queens. Can you tell us a little bit more about your international experience? And if you'd like to share about the domestic travel experiences as well, feel free to do that.
Yeah, this is my favorite thing to talk about.
Perfect.
So the way JBIP works is, like Ali said, there's a ton of different options to choose from. What worked for me was just a short-term faculty-led trip, which is also known as the JBIP trip. And they have a huge reveal party, and you pick from about, I don't know, 7 to 9 different places throughout the world, all international places. You apply, you get to go somewhere. A lot of people tend to think that you should do something related to your major. Well, that's not always the case. I was that person that wanted to do something completely outside of my comfort zone. So this past December, I was able to go to Costa Rica, and my entire trip, so every trip is based around a different theme or subject. It just kind of depends on what you're interested in. And mine was all about sustainability and healthy living. So we went to Costa Rica for 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks, and I was lucky enough to spend half of that time with a host family in Costa Rica. So I actually fully immersed myself into the culture there. I don't know any Spanish, but my host mom spoke full-blown Spanish. It was great though. I had a lot of hand gestures going on the entire time, but it was the most amazing thing. And the great thing about it is too, you're thrown in with so many other majors and people on campus that now some of those people are some of my closest friends, just because you're traveling to a brand new country with them, but you're also with them every minute of the day. And it's kind of cool to get to know people that you would have never known before if it wasn't for going on these trips, which was probably my favorite part.
I love it. That's awesome. Costa Rica. I would love to go to Costa Rica.
It was
I don't
beautiful.
speak much Spanish either, but I would love it. When I was a student at Queens, I'm an alum, and I actually traveled to Ireland during my time at Queens. And one of the reasons I wanted to go was I thought I wouldn't have to learn another language if I go to Ireland, but they did speak some Gaelic there, so that was fun. But so Nikki, you talked a little bit about some of the things you're involved in, or alluded to that you're involved in some things, which we can see on the screen here. I think a lot of students are very interested in the idea of fraternity and sorority life. Can you talk a little bit about your experience in Greek life at Queens?
Yeah, so Greek life at Queens, one of the main reasons I went through recruitment and all that simply was because of the small school factor. So Greek life is not what you see in movies. It's not what you see on TV or on TikTok. I see it all the time on TikTok now. It is not like that at all. My chapter, along with all of the other chapters at Queens, are relatively small. They're probably anywhere around from like 25 to 30 women or men, because we do have fraternities on campus. And we don't have houses, we have lodges. So the easiest way to explain that is it's basically like the kitchen and living room part of a house, and that's it. And it's a great spot to just go and hang out. But also the great thing about Greek life, if you decide to join it at any university, especially Queens, is it is really centered around philanthropy and giving back to the community. It's not just about, I mean, yes, social events are fun too. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, they're very fun. But the great thing is too, we have so many events every chapter does that revolves around either the Myers Park community, Charlotte in general, or even worldwide organizations. Every chapter has like a different, I guess, event that they put on either once a year, twice a semester kind of thing. And it's specifically related to their philanthropy. So it's really fun to go to other people's events and kind of bond with them, because Greek life as a whole, we're relatively close. We're not that school where I'm in one sorority, I don't like another. Like, I have best friends in other chapters, which is also the great thing about it, is I'm not just stuck to one specific group of people. So yes, I do have my specific organization, but I'm lucky enough to where I feel comfortable enough to go to another organization's event or hang out with other people, which is my favorite part about it.
I love it. That's great. And there's about 20% of our student population that are Greek affiliate with a Greek sorority or fraternity. So it's a great way to get out and know people. And I had friends too who would go through the recruiting process and maybe didn't ultimately end up joining a sorority or fraternity, but met a lot of great people through doing that, and a way to get to know people and friends and things like that. Nikki, a little bit about maybe some academics at Queens. So you study elementary education. Can you share with us maybe, and maybe it's not in your major, but one of your favorite classes or favorite professors that you've had at Queens?
Yeah, so I can share not from the education perspective, just
Perfect.
in case nobody is interested in that. So one of the unique things about Queens is you get to take QLC classes, which is very hard to explain if you're not a Queens student. So I will try my best to explain them. But essentially, it's just your gen ed classes, but they're focused around different themes and different learning communities, to where you really get to take classes that you thought you might never take before. And so probably my favorite class that I got to take for that was a philosophy class. And if anybody knows anything about philosophy, it really does make you think. And I did not know what I was getting myself into, but I was like, this sounds kind of cool. Like, I'll take a class where I question everything in my life. And ended up being taught by the former dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. So he unfortunately left, but he was a great guy, great professor. And the stuff that you learn in those classes, especially your gen eds, isn't always your, like, I don't know, math 101, English 101 material. It really does make you think and make you get involved in the community. And you have these big projects at the end of them where you integrate all these different subjects that you learned about and things that you learned about. And it was probably my favorite class, simply for the pure reason that I had no idea what I was doing, but loved it at the same time. It was really one of those things where I was like, I'm just going to jump into it and do it. And even though it wasn't in my major, I still found it so interesting. And I will say the best thing that came out of that class was I made a relationship with a fellow faculty member that wasn't in my department, which was a great thing to have too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a question in the Q&A box about academic support. So Nikki, if you were struggling in a class and you maybe wanted to get some extra help, like tutoring or something like that, what kind of opportunities are there at Queens for those sorts of things?
So we do have a full student support center. I am blanking. I've been on campus in a long time on what the exact name is.
Center for Student Success.
Here we go. I have not been at school in a few months now.
I understand.
But they have a full tutoring center as well as a writing center. I have never used it specifically for like course material, but I have used the writing center. So I was that kid in high school that would write a paper the night before, probably like some of you, and still manage to get a good grade on it. Well, in college, you cannot do that. And I'm sorry to tell you that now, but this is just not going to fly. So the great thing about that is you get to pick a tutor. If you don't know a tutor, all of them are great and they will assign one for you. And you basically sit down with them for about 45 minutes to an hour. And with me, when I went to the writing center, oh, my computer just glitched. My apologies. For me, when I went to the writing center, I wrote my entire paper. I laid it out for them and they just went through the entire thing with me. And it was probably the best thing that I have ever done, because being a freshman, I didn't know how to format a paper other than your typical 5-paragraph essay. And so it was a really good opportunity to just go and kind of get another perspective on someone who is older, who has also taken the same class as me, and tell me what I need to do to be successful. And then I know a lot of people who also do the tutoring center for like Spanish, French, your languages, and even harder course material like biology, chemistry. And the good thing about that tutoring part of the Student Center for Student Success is all of the people that are tutoring have either taken the same exact course as you or even with the same professor. So they know what they're doing. They know what to tell you, what to expect on tests and quizzes. And you're not just getting a random person who got an A in the class per se. You're getting someone who even made a B, let's say, but they know how to make you successful in the class.
That's perfect. Yeah. You maybe haven't been on campus, but you got all of it perfectly. So that's great. Thanks, Nikki. There was a question in here and I'm going to actually answer it first. And then if you have anything to add, Nikki, I would welcome that. Question about being an early college student or a middle college student where you're taking college coursework in pursuit of your high school diploma, asking what would the academic plan look like at Queens? Would the classes only be related to the major that you choose? So let me answer a little bit of that kind of on the administrative kind of side there. We have plenty of early college and middle college students at Queens or students who attend a high school and take college coursework. They're dual enrolled at their community college. All of those credits will come over to Queens. We accept those college coursework credits. You would not just take your major courses. You would still have some general education courses. Nikki spoke about the Queens Learning Communities or QLCs. You would still have those as well that you would have to take some of those. You would take courses in your major, and then you would have time in your schedule to take, a minor, or you might, I took a public speaking course because I wanted to take it. It wasn't my major or my minor. So you'll have room in your schedule to take other courses outside of your major, which is really only going to help you when moving on to that next step. You're going to be multifaceted and have that interdisciplinary experience. So I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, please continue to elaborate a little bit more, and I'm happy to speak a little bit more. Nikki is frozen for me. I don't know if she is for you all, and it looks like she maybe just got kicked out of the session, which is a-okay. We're going to keep rolling right on through. Allie, you can come back on as well. We can answer some questions from students until Nikki maybe finds her way back there. Oh, there's Nikki.
Oh, there she is.
Look at that. Perfect.
No need for me, so I'm going to leave again.
Okay. Allie jumped on and now she's out of here. Nikki, you made it back. That was actually perfect timing because I just answered the question and we're good to go there. So thank you for that question about early college stuff. So Nikki, back to you if you're ready. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I don't know what happened.
No, that's okay. No problem. I see on the screen here, we know that you're a resident assistant. What does that mean? And what would you tell us about residence life at Queens?
Yeah, so I was a resident assistant my sophomore and junior year. I didn't redo it my senior year just for the pure reason I knew I would be too busy and that wouldn't be fair to people living on campus. So basically what a resident assistant is, I live in the dorm just like a regular student would. I'm still a student, but I am purely there for the reason to keep everyone safe, everyone doing what they're supposed to be doing, and especially freshmen. So freshman RAs, I give them so much credit. They're there for the transition and the hard parts. So I am someone who you can go to if you need help, if you need assistance in getting academic support, mental health support. I go through a very intense training to give you all those resources for you. Also, the great thing about being a resident assistant is it's all about building community within the residence halls. So that was probably my favorite part about the job is getting to know everyone that lived on my hall. I met some amazing people that way. And the best part about it is I get to cater to their needs. So part of my job is I do have a set amount of events that I have to put on throughout the semester, but it's what the residents want. It's not necessarily what I want. And it's about getting people close with each other because I know living in communal bathrooms and all that, it's really awkward if you don't know the person next to you brushing your teeth late at night or when you get up and go to the bathroom and early in the morning. So it's a great way to kind of get to know everybody living on your hall, and it's really special to be a part of that, especially in those first year communities.
I love it. Thank you. That's great. I think a lot of students get nervous about residence life. They're, I've never lived with anybody, or I don't want to share a bathroom. I know that's stuff that RAs and resident assistants kind of help with in easing that transition into residence life situation. So I appreciate you sharing that. There are a couple of questions in here revolving around just kind of a day in the life of a student at Queens. So Nikki, you seem to be a very involved student at Queens. What, if you were to walk us through a typical day on campus, what would that look like for you?
All right, so probably I'll go through what I do in a normal day. So I would wake up, always go to the CAF for breakfast because the CAF's breakfast is probably the best meal of the day. It's my favorite meal of the day. Other than going to class though, I love sitting outside of the coffee shop or going into the coffee shop. It's kind of the center on campus if you haven't been to campus yet, or if you do get to go, I highly recommend going once it's open. It's in the middle, so you get to see everybody walking by, especially on a nice day. It's good to do your homework out there and just catch up with friends or sit on the lawn, whatever you prefer. And I actually have a very busy schedule, so for most of the day, I am in class, sadly. But besides being in class and doing all that at night, if I'm not going to meetings or different club organizations and activities, my favorite part of the day, if when I was living on campus, was eating dinner with everyone in the caf, because at Queens, everybody's kind of on the same schedule, unless you're an athlete and you have those weird practice times. But you really do get to see everyone when you eat meals on campus together. And it just creates such a great sense of community walking into the cafe at 5:30 and you seeing everybody that you know. And it's not like everybody just sits at like their one table. Like there are so many instances where everybody's getting up and talking to one another. And you just share a meal with your friends, not having to worry about any homework or any studying or anything. And it's nice after a long day of class to just sit down and de-stress and spend time with people.
That's perfect. Thanks so much, Nikki. I appreciate you answering some of those questions and sharing a little bit about your experience. We're going to have time at the end for more questions. So Nikki, if you're able to continue and stay on with us, then we may have some more questions for you towards the end. I want to take just a few minutes to turn it back over to Allie to talk a little bit about the admissions application scholarship process at Queens. We did have some questions about that in the Q&A feature. So Allie, there was a question about, does Queens offer any merit or major scholarships? So maybe when you're talking about that, you can hit a little bit on the scholarship stuff there, but I'll turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you both. And I'm excited to answer your guys' questions. Thank you for asking wonderful questions. So now that you've heard from Nikki, I'm sure that all of you are so excited and love Queens and are like, how do I turn my application in? So I'm here to give you a bit more of that information. So what's important to know is that we have a holistic application. So what that means is that we are not going to say yes or no solely based on your grades. We are really trying to find out who you are as a person, right? So in order to do that, there are multiple parts to our application. So you have your admissions essay, your list of extracurriculars, and something that's important to note is the fact that we are a test optional school. So we actually went test optional last year. For our current group of students, I would say that for our incoming class, about a quarter to a third of them didn't turn in any scores. Part of why we do that is because we understand that for some people, we basically know that every student is not the same. And so for some of you, those scores are really strong, you are really proud, and maybe you want to send those in. That is great. If you're a student that was like me, I actually took the SAT 3 or 4 times because I just got nervous and my brain just like shut off. That is also fine. You do not have to send those scores in. So either way, so every student's application for the school is also your application for our merit-based scholarships. So every student is considered for merit-based scholarships. So it's really important that when you're turning that application in, every piece is as strong as possible. So make sure you edit your essay, make sure you fill out every single question there. There also are a few other optional pieces besides our testing. So letters of recommendation, those are optional, but those can always help your application. We also have an optional supplemental essay, so everyone is welcome to turn that in. Something that I love about Queens is the fact that our application is free. So you are able to find that either on the Common Application. The website for that is commonapp.org. or on our Queens website, queens.edu. We do not care however you turn that in. We are just excited to read your application. So going into the dates, the most important date to know is December 1st. That's our early action date. So if you want to be considered for a maximum amount of scholarships, make sure that you turn things in by that December 1st date. So our December 1st deadline is early action. We also have a deadline that's early decision. So that is November 1st. Early decision is, so I think that the most important thing to know is that early decision is binding. So if you're applying early decision, you are basically saying, if I'm accepted to Queens, I'm going to come to Queens. I'm going to cancel my apps from every other school. This is my choice 100%. So when you're filling out your application, it is going to ask you if you want to be early decision or early action. So make sure that you're very mindful of that. But every student should try to get that application in by December 1st. Also, we have financial aid for every student, no matter what their documentation is. So every student is considered for our merit-based aid. And if for whatever reason you aren't able to turn in your free application for federal student aid or the FAFSA, then we actually have a separate form, and you only have to reach out to your admission counselor or your financial aid counselor, and they will give you more information on that. So that was a lot of information. Most important thing to know is just try to be yourself and try to have fun. Make sure every piece of your application is, make sure that every piece is filled out and turn it in by December 1st. Jasmine, do you have anything you would like to add to that overview?
I think that's great. That's fantastic. Students, participants, if you have questions about the application process, the admissions process, scholarship, really anything we have or have not covered, please put those in the Q&A box. We'd be happy to answer those. We have left plenty of time to answer any and all of the questions that you might be curious about. This is your opportunity. You have 3 Queens experts here to answer your questions, and you have a couple of folks who are admissions experts. So even if it's a question just about admissions, college admissions in general, we'd be happy to address those. I think that Allie has a slide with some options to visit campus. I just wanted to highlight that. We are open for visitors on our campus, even though our students are not on campus this fall. We have a capped capacity, so it will be a small experience. You'll be wearing your mask, we'll be wearing our mask, the whole deal. But we would love to have you on campus for a daily campus visit. We have various offerings Monday through Saturday. And then we do have, if you're more comfortable with a virtual event, we have daily virtual events and Discover Queens events, which is kind of like a open house type event. It's a live virtual event where you can hear from current students and professors at Queens. I will let Allie talk a little bit about the interview because it kind of relates to the scholarship stuff, but I did want to, there's one question that just popped up, so let me see that. There's a question, and Allie, maybe you can take this one as well. It says, could you please go over how to fill the standardized test score section? They ask you to fill multiple fields, not only the math and writing sections. I am taking that to mean on the application for Queens when you're self-reporting test scores. Allie, is that something you're able to talk through?
Yeah, so whether you're filling it out on the Queens website or if you're on the Common application, people will ask you if you are turning in scores. There are different sections based on which test you take. So if you're taking the ACT, there are 5 sections. And if you're taking the SAT, then there are 3 sections, I believe, and there's the optional and there's the optional essay. So if you go to the testing website, so for the SAT, that's collegeboard.org, and for the ACT, it's act.org, they're going to list out all of those sub-scores. And so something that we do at Queens, we actually, so we do something that's called super scoring. So let's say that you take the SAT 3 or 4 times, we are going to automatically pull your highest score from the English section, your highest score from the math, and your highest from the writing section. But yeah, so when you log into those websites, you are able to see those scores, and then you'll be able to plug those in on your application. Something that's important to know is that even though you typed those scores in, schools will still need you to send in your official scores. So here at Queens, you are able to download those from the website, and then you're able to email them in to our office. But there are some schools that may want you to pay to send those scores through the ACT and through the College Board sites. So let me know if that answered your question. Hopefully that helped. Okay, and so I'm going to go over the interview section quickly, and then I'll answer the other question that just came in. But so something that we know is that we know that sometimes it's hard to tell who a person is based on their grades and their essay. And so the interview is half an hour, and so you are able to sign up for that through your admission portal. And so that's an opportunity for you to meet with your counselor. So if you're a Western North Carolina or a South Carolina student, then you'll be able to meet with me. If you're Mecklenburg County or Stanley County, you'll meet with Jasmine. But basically, that's just a chance for us to get to know you more. So everyone should definitely sign up for those. We are only having those through December 1st. And so once those spots are filled, so even if you haven't turned your application in yet, go ahead and sign up for an interview with us. So we got a question in asking if Queens has a nursing program. Yes. So nursing is one of our more popular programs. So whenever you are filling your application in, you are going to say you're interested in pre-nursing.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Allie. Nikki, I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Tell me your favorite thing about Queens, or something you would leave these students with as we're wrapping up our experience today.
Okay. Cool. That's kind of hard, but I think I got it. So I always tell people my favorite thing is I always brag on the faculty and staff at Queens, because I kind of feel like they're my second family. I'm lucky enough to where my professors and we're like this, like to the point where if I'm not turning in something or I'm not in class, they will call or text me. But I love it because it really does make it feel like home, and you can tell that everyone that works there really truly cares about you. I even remember going through the admissions process, and my admissions counselor was amazing. I had Lizzie, and she really did kind of put it into a perspective of wherever you want to go to school, you have to make it feel like home. And the faculty and staff at Queens truly make it feel like that. And it makes the transition and the experience 2,000 times better, in my opinion.
Perfect. You did a great job.
That was good.
I think there's one question in here from Sean about GPAs. And so I want to answer that quick. I think we have like 2 minutes left and we're going to get cut out right at time. So a weighted GPA gives extra weight to courses like honors, AP, IB, and they would give you an extra boost in your weighted GPA for taking a more rigorous course. Unweighted takes all of that weight out and just accounts for your letter grades in your courses. Usually schools will report both weighted weighted and unweighted on their transcript. We look mostly at the unweighted, but we also very much care about the rigor of your curriculum. So you're not taking those classes for nothing. We care about all of that. So, and there was a very nice thank you from Ed Mari for doing this. So great. Last question. Here. Madeline's going to kick us off now, right?
Almost. If you have any closing remarks, go ahead and say them.
You're good to go.
Last thing that I'm just going to say, this is our contact info. Go to our website. We are here to help you. We're excited to work with you. No question is too big or too small, so reach out to us at any time.
Thanks, y'all.
Screenshot this screen. You will probably want it in the future. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take over the screen sharing. I'm so sorry. So take your last screenshots while you can, but thank you all for joining us tonight. Once you close out of this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey, and we'd really appreciate any feedback that you guys can provide. Also, be sure to sign up for additional sessions at CACRAO.org. Also, check out some of the panels that maybe you have missed, whether that's other universities or more specifics, information about whether it's transferring or clubs and organizations, whatever it is. Check that out online as well. This panel was recorded, and we will be posting it online in about a week at the same website. So please let us know if there's anything else that we can do for you. But in the meantime, have a great night, and thank you for joining us.